and we're thrilled to have them. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you, Dennis.
Thanks, Robert. And once again, Dennis Turk, I'm one of our SEs. And like I said, we're happy to have Vivek on board. He's the SEs, we kind of call him our ultimate phone a friend. So we're going to walk through a customer solution and kind of keep it lively. Feel free to, as Robert said, put questions in Q&A, and then we'll go from there.
And then I'll do a quick intro to myself. Hey folks, I'm Vivek from the product team. Good to see how so many folks joined in today.
So we have this customer, Tom's Turkey, and we were going to have a representative join us on the call and talk about their organization and how they're looking at rolling out. But it's the wrong time of year. They're pretty busy. So we'll take a few of their questions and thoughts and put through there. But Tom's a traditional large global customer, about 10,000 employees. They do have strict security standards, which are taken into effect when you're thinking about putting devices on your network. They're running about 500 rooms. They are running in appliance mode, and they've got different sizes: small, medium, flex, large. And much like a lot of our customers, they do have a light IT crew, mainly staffed at headquarters. So they're interested in how they can configure things locally as well as remotely, and how to keep things running on their network with the small staff they have. So they had a few questions get started. So as we go through the presentation, we're going to take some of these questions into effect. With their limited headcount, how can they deploy and support globally? They want to roll out their devices. They're thinking pretty much rolling out with hardwired Ethernets. Is that the approach we'd recommend or not? What if they use boards and flex spaces that could be movable? Can they deploy these on wireless networks? And what are kind of the best recommended ways to do that? So with everything, when we're talking to our customers, and the good thing, I talk to customers all the time in my subset, but that talks to customers via NDAs and also looking at things. So we gather a lot of the information, how customers are rolling things out. And I don't care if you're a small customer or one of our largest customers, the same methodology is used when you're looking at putting devices on your network. So, we start a lot of times with some of the basics. I can say I have zero security standards, which we don't recommend that, but I put something on my network. I have to know how to have it talk out to either the sync application, how to get updates. So on our hub, we have all of our ports that are needed, but we've also put in firewall settings for Zoom, Teams, etc. So a lot of customers, we look at this. Most are recommended. We do have some optional ones, but we work with customers all the time to do that. Anything else we need to call out on firewall ports or anything, Vivek?
Yeah, I mean, the big one is along with this table that we've set up, something that in my conversations with customer network teams has been like, just going through, not just partner recommendations, but also clearly understanding, along with IPs, which ports that they're calling out and which traffic protocol that they're in. Because based on proxy networks or firewalls, sometimes even though the port might be safe listed, they might have some additional restrictions that I've seen customers actually deploy that HTTPS traffic is allowed, HTTP isn't allowed, and so on. So for a company like Tom's Turkey, being well prepared before you start deploying, I think is a biggest recommendation I'd put in. And the more time you take to be thorough about each and every network criteria, the less time you're spending with your best friends in the network side of things.
Excellent. So another topic that comes up all the time is 802.1x. What does Logitech support? Do we recommend using it? Are there caveats? All like that. So Tom Turkey is definitely interested in this. I've put on here things that are supported from a Logitech perspective. These and all, we'll show you later how these can be configured. And I'm curious, Vivek, is there anything that jumps out from our customers, any gotchas that we want to kind of point out in regards to 802.1s?
So in regards to 802.1x, I'm a firm believer in, every enterprise has their flavor of it. So kind of like the previous call out with network ports, I would always recommend, for folks in the call or the IT team in Tom's Turkey is, leverage our POC program, try out our devices in your company or enterprise network, understand the nuances that, as network teams and IT admins, we need to be aware of. Because, even though it's a standard with respect to, let's say, the protocol that is being used and the certificate, the way the certificate gets generated has an influence in overall communication. The trust authorities that is used also has an implication on how the 802.1x network setup is. So those are some of the areas I would always, shine a light on and say, folks, just take that time to understand the 802.1x like implementation. Sometimes in the wireless spectrum, we've seen variations come in where a specific access point handles 802.1x differently than other access points. So again, caution. I would definitely be a little bit more cautious. Run through POC programs, get comfortable with the devices in the deployment environment as you progress through 802.1x. So that I think that would be my biggest call out from my learnings for this company.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that real quick because I think that's a big call out for all of our customers. I don't care if you've got 10 devices or 1,000 devices. Having a good lab to test not only new code, but say network changes, all like that is a big importance. And I know all my customers we work with, and we almost mandate that they have that. So the executive conference room is not where you want to be testing new things and stuff like that. So, along those lines, other networks are considerations. And to Vivek's point, not every customer does all of this, but we have customers using, when you go to LNA, they want to use certificates for the CAs, the proxies, doing different NTPs and all like that. So all this can be configurable, but this all should be thought about as you're going, putting devices on. And the AV teams need to be working with network and security teams as well. So a couple a couple call outs on this, Vivek, things that we see and kind of point customers to, or what you get asked a good bit from customers.
Definitely CA certificates. I think that's why we put it up top in that list. I think, again, taking a few steps back, the idea here is to have a seamless setup experience. Is as IT decision makers and deployment team being aware of what that network consideration is ahead of time. Being consciously aware of CA certificates and how each company, uses CA certificates to analyze the traffic between the service provider, let's say Teams versus Zoom versus Google, how they allow traffic inspection or how they do not allow traffic inspection. So being aware of that is, I think, one of the areas where quite a bit of time gets spent on in both our side from our products and also from a customer network team's perspective, being able to jump on a call to understand, oh yeah, actually Teams doesn't recommend that the traffic is inspected. Same thing goes for device management solutions, right? Whether if customers are looking to deploy our devices with sync, being aware of the fact that network data packet inspection is something that is not supported, and quite the reverse, where if you do have a HTTPS based proxy, being aware of some of the additional toggles that we provide, because again, I know Tom's Turkey has a kind of straightforward setup, but not every customer setup is that straightforward. So there are a lot of options we provide as we work with global companies and requirements that they have regionally. But I know it's coming up in the next slide, but being well prepared for it, understanding our own deployment or our own network is, I think, the biggest call out. And the fact that from a CollabOS perspective, I would want to say, like, we've handled all of it. But if we don't, let us know through the hub and wish list. We'll definitely add more options to handle network specific setups that are out in the field.
Yeah, and definitely we'll later on show the hub and the wish list parts, but that's a great area to get information back to Vivek and his teams. I think the one thing is NTP server. When I'm on, especially with the new customer rolling things out, if something's not jiving with teams or something like that, that's the first thing we go and look at. What is the NTP server? We point to time.android.com. Is that allowed? Do we need to change that to an internal NTP server? So that's one of those gotchas I check with all my customers. Cool. Hey, Robert, before we move on, do we have any questions from the field we need to inject in, or is everybody hitting the Q&A?
Not quite yet. We've got a pretty good group of people that are helping to answer questions in the Q&A section. But if anything comes up, actually one that just came in is if we're comfortable with this is definitely more of a Microsoft specific question, but somebody's asking, will you comment on Azure identity and rules regarding deployment? And any sort of help that we can provide to help them get through whatever challenge they've got going.
Can you maybe flush out a little bit more details on that, Robert, with respect to zero identity? Is it zero identity with respect to provisioning rooms or like credential management or?
I'll peel off with him and with the person that asked and see if I can get some more details.
Okay. I'll make a generic wide statement, right? Between Microsoft Teams and how you can leverage
Oh,
the Teams
it's actually in the email. Sorry. It's let me forward it over to you.
Oh, I think
No.
Terrell was
All
accidentally
right,
mute.
All right. I was like, oh, maybe he asked the question. No. Okay. So in a very generic level statement, there are a handful of, let's say, zero-touch provisioning-based approaches that, customers can use with their installation and reseller teams so that, there's like zero touch kind of aspect to it. But if there's any aspect of identity and credential that needs to be handled, I think there are again quite a few variations. The zero touch approach of provisioning allows for no identity information being handed off to vendors. So as a company, you can feel a little bit more comfortable in handing out codes. So at no point do they understand what is the actual credentials associated to the room resource, and also if there is any kind of, let's say, company specific information like how do you name your rooms and which location is it based off, all this kind of information gets abstracted out of it. So again, I mean giving a generic answer, but yeah, Robert, if you do get a little bit more, we can go into details there.
Yep. Thanks, Vivek. I just sent him a note, so we'll see if they come back.
Awesome, thank you.
Well, cool. Well, we'll keep moving on, but now we know why we have Vivek on the call. Thank you for expanding on that for us. So now we're going to look at, looking at their whole rooms, the percentages out there, what they're looking at putting in. So a lot goes into this, what type of rooms do they have? What devices do they want in there? And then we start looking at the network and the additional items on there. So like I said, Tom's Turkey has about 500 rooms, but the percentage is pretty standard across a lot of our customers. A lot of huddle small rooms, and then you've got your medium rooms, your 10-person conference rooms, and then your larger rooms, and then the new space with flex and customized rooms, and then of course tap schedulers. So what are we putting in there? Looking at the different networks, the additional securities and all like that. So as we're mapping this out with customers, Vivek, what would be a few things, to make sure they're looking at or are thinking about when they're designing these templates?
Yeah, no, actually, let's first take the time to acknowledge how Tom's Turkeys actually spent the time adopting the template or archetypal kind of flow. This is something that some of the world's largest corporations or enterprises actually do really good, so that companies that have a global footprint are always aware of exactly what set of devices, what set of cables, what set of configurations are being deployed globally. So there's less chance for any variation. So if there was ever an end user feedback, IT teams and light IT teams in this case know exactly what to expect. I think that's the fundamental differentiating factor that I've seen in deployments that have been very successful in not just deploying but also managing them post deployment. So quick call out for the fact that they're using templates and also standardizing those templates to a known set of configuration allows for reducing any variations that an end user might face. So if there was ever a high value room or an executive room, you know exactly why they might be hitting an issue or why they're not hitting an issue because each one of them is tracked in a template. So if there is a remote office that is bringing up some area to be looked into, the team in the headquarters knows exactly what to look into. So being again, I know in the last few slides we've been touching on this, and I can't underscore this enough. Being well prepared and using templates as part of that is like I would say, a first step in that process, and making sure it's also distributed across the IT team is another big aspect, right? Sometimes you have the choosers who choose on these templates and the technologies, but then the team that actually does the implementation or supports it might not be aware of all of this. So making this also shared across the company for the relevant stakeholders is another big call out that I would always highlight because some of these standardization helps in not just simplifying the IT team's life, but also the teams that are supporting the IT teams. So that way, stakeholders all feel like, you've also got their best interest in heart for this.
Perfect. Yeah, I have a customer who's actually a supplier to Tom's Turkey, and they worked with us a while ago in their sync portal about adding pictures of the rooms, and they actually have added wiring diagrams and notes in the room, so the support engineers can know who maybe to go talk to with security, who with facilities. So they've got all that information built in per the rooms, and that's part of their stereotypes and how they built all their rooms.
Yep.
So cool. We'll keep going here.
Hey, there
So
was
now we're at,
real
go ahead,
quickly,
Robert.
there was one more question that came in that was somewhat specific to certificate push. And customer or channel partners asking any comments on support for certificate push with Intune and Des system.
Yeah, I'll take a quick stab at it. So this is something that we are actively working with Microsoft to have official support for Intune-based certificate push, rotation, and management. If it is a wireless-based network, from our own testing and quite a few customer feedback, I can tell you that it is functional. But I'd also want to make sure it's clear that it's still not officially supported. So we are working with Microsoft to officialize this and be able to use Intune as that point of management solution for certificate pushes. So at this stage, you know, I'll treat it as your mileage might vary. It seems to be working, but give us some time, and in one of these avenues, we will share out once it's publicly supported as a feature set.
Awesome. Thank you, Vivek. Appreciate that. And the team's churning and burning through questions in the Q&A as they're coming in. So keep on going, guys. I'll let
Yeah,
you know if
and
there's another one that pops
just
up.
a quick call out. I do owe Eduardo an answer also for something similar, so hopefully he caught on to that.
Good deal. So, you get all these templates built, you determine how you're going to roll things out. How do we actually go and configure? So, on our tap controllers, you can get into the configurations. You can go through what we call LNA, set it up, but it wouldn't be an SE if I didn't actually try to do a live demo. So let's kick out to my sync portal. So I've got a rally bar set up here. And while I can do some changes in here, let's go ahead and click on and do a remote UI session. So as you've seen, this is part of our remote UI out of our sync. Got a dual screen system in here. I can come over here to a lot of my LNA settings. Can go in, see my wireless connections, change a few things. If I need to add a certificate, all like that I can do from here. But I can also show, if I was sitting on a controller and go in, I love this setting. Instead of having to go through all the menus and all, I can go right to my setting as I was sitting in the room. Don't take down my super secret password. And now we're into connection. So I've got my connectivity in here. I could change different items, see what's enabled, everything like that. So different ways you can connect into your systems.
Yeah. And I think a quick call out there, as Dennis, you're showing that has been in a lot of the conversations I've had with our customers, has been how for any IT admin, it gives you that in-room feel as you not just troubleshoot, but even onboard these devices. And in this case of Tom's Turkey with a light IT team, whether this is a remote office with no boots on the ground, you're able to use remote UI access to actually onboard as if you're literally there in that office and set up the device. And I think one of the questions about the Azure identity and those kind of things, you can actually pretty much not have to share any credential information as this happens. And then all of this ties back into the sync portal. So from a security perspective, you have an audit log, just like what Dennis is showing in the screen. So you know exactly who's been accessing these devices and setting it up or troubleshooting it. So at every point, there's a proper trackability or audit log available.
Yeah, that's been really key to a lot of the customers, especially the board 65s, to where someone from facilities could mount it on the wall or have it on a cart. Once I get the device in sync, I can remotely go in and configure Teams, Zoom settings, and all like that on the device. So a lot of our customers are taking advantage of that fact.
Yep.
Perfect. So kick back to slideshow mode. So we've talked about, a lot of this information. When everyone goes away and has a bunch of turkey and forgets everything that Dennis and Vivek said, we've got our hub.logitech.com. You can go in and all the CollabOS settings are in here. Everything basically for our devices. This is also where we've got our wish list. And it's not just what I kid, if I put in a feature request, it may get looked at, I may have to badger. But when you put in the wish list, you can go in and see the different product managers, adding comments back in there, showing where things are at. So that's been a very valuable tool to not only for us to see what's happening, but for our customers to add feedback. So here's exciting part. In our beta channels, we have CollabOS 2.0 right now. I think we're in our second or third beta in that. So we're really close to a GA release, potentially right around the corner. The nice thing about that, we're upgrading a lot of our devices to Android 12. And like I said, we'd like you to run a few of those devices in the lab we talked about in beta mode. And if you happen to run anything, definitely let us know. Anything else on that, Vivek?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of callouts is, pretty much the whole portfolio of our devices are upgrading to CollabOS 2.0. And, in some of those devices specifically, like the Rally Bar Mini, the Roommate, Tap IP, and Tap Scheduler, we are upgrading the internal systems to Android 12. All of this ties back to, if you're using Teams or Zoom, and the certification timelines, or even with Google Meet, the certification timelines that each of these service providers have listed. Recently, Microsoft did extend that time period. So this helps with any of the deployments that's already there in the field, getting additional years of overall certified state and supportability. So this takes up to, if I'm right, 2030 for Microsoft Teams customers, and Zoom also has something close to that time frame. So this is a big call out for us. It is a completely seamless process. So just like any other regular CollabOS update, you just need to hit update, and it will update to this new version. And to Dennis, your call out, we are looking for feedback, right? Just as much as we made it seamless, we'd always like to understand, given all the variations in the field, whether it's Tom's Turkey or someone else, we'd like to understand how our devices are performing in each of these configurations. And this gives us a fundamental data point to be able to decide when we go to general availability and start pushing it out more publicly. So pending feedback, we are expecting, within the coming weeks, this will go in as a publicly available firmware, and it'll also be available in all our service provider portals.
Yeah, kudos to the software team. When I first did mine, I was like, "Oh wow, this is going to take a while" or something like that. But it was fast as any update. I mean, it's just standard going through. But I noticed you talked about a lot of devices, but you didn't mention the Rally Bar Huddle. So
Yeah. So that's a quick call out. So Rally Bar Huddle is going to be going to Android 15. So pretty much this time next year, you will see an update rolling out for the Rally Bar Huddle. Thanks to our engineering team, and when they started looking into the capabilities of the huddle, we realized we can actually push this all the way to the Android 15 version. So same time next year, you'll hear us talking about beta and getting feedback before we GA. So Rally Bar Huddle goes up to Android 15, and associated with it, all the additional certification and support timelines that come with it.
speaking of those timelines, this is what you'd kind of talked about earlier. So this is the Microsoft certification. And as Vivek stated, a lot of these have already been pushed out. So definitely want to make sure as we get to Android 12, where the different certification and end dates are.
Yep.
It's pretty interesting. I mean, the lifespan of these bars is very long, which is fantastic, and it's something to remember when you're sitting back to consider the lifetime that you're going to have these devices deployed. We continue to innovate and add on and build out new feature sets, and it is one of the many benefits of Logitech for sure. So this is really cool to see, Vivek, and seeing the bumps. Microsoft pushed out, added. It just keeps adding one more time at the end of supportability, which has been great. And so it's neat to see that we've got a long time with Microsoft support end dates.
Yep. Yep. No, this upgrade and overall the industry adopting like longer life cycle of products has been net positive for the whole industry. So I
100%.
definitely want to acknowledge that. And we do strive to make sure our devices continue to function, for these dates and beyond, if possible. I did want to take a quick call out from one of the Q&A questions. I think it was Dino who was asking about go to resolve. So as part of our 2.0 rollout, what we have done is we've temporarily disabled go to resolve in 2.0. We will be enabling go to resolve in 2.1. This is to make sure the functionality is fully available and performing as expected. So for that, in consideration, in the CollabOS 2.0 release alone, we've temporarily disabled it. And for customers who do lean on Go to Resolve for their remote management access, I would recommend that just try it out in beta, but wait for 2.1 rollout, so that way you can have a seamless migration for IT teams that are using Go to Resolve.
It's a good call out. There was another question that popped up in the chat related to the remote capabilities. One question was around what network is the remote control happening on? Is this something that you can control from outside of your customer network? I think it's important that we kind of double down on this aspect, make sure customers understand how this architects within their environment from a security standpoint. So Vivek or Dennis, I'll let one of you guys handle that question from customers.
Yeah, I'll take a stab, and Dennis, chime in. So I think there are fundamentally two different ways you can remote into the Android or CollabOS based systems. There's one which is through sync that we call as remote UI access, and this one leverages your local network connection. The data does not leave your enterprise network. It is all within your network. And even though sync allows you to deep link into the session, there's none of the data other than the audit logs that comes to the cloud or outside of your network. So with remote UI access, it's completely local network access. So if you're not in the office, you do need your VPN to be on or some way to tunnel into the office. And that is one call out. With Go to Resolve, this is the alternative that we provide. They're a solution that do provide a cloud-based remote access feature. You do not need to be connected to a VPN to access your device remotely. So again, they are fundamentally using some of the Android and core cloud principles to initiate a secure session and be able to access it. Again, like we talked about earlier, different customers have different takes on how they secure their network. And sometimes it's company policy that you can't do cloud-based connections, and that's where the sync-based remote UI access comes in. For companies that are using VLANs or specific firewalls and do allow cloud-based connections, then Go to Resolve is that alternative that they can lean into.
Thank you, Vivek. That was a good answer. And certainly, if there's any confusion about that, definitely reach out to your account team, reach out to our support organization. We're happy to have those discussions with you to kind of click down with another layer of detail if you need it. All right, back over to you guys. I'll
Yeah,
save some of the hard questions for the end.
yeah, we're about to Q&A time, but as a lot of you, go and look back on this information, I just want to put all the past Talk Techie to me's. And I think these are great resources, not only for our internal folks, but for our customers to go back and look at some of the different products. And I'm not going to steal Kristen's thunder, but I'm sure we'll have some great topics coming up after the first of the year as well. We've got a QR code here. It's all on YouTube. You can watch at your speed, and really good information out there. And then with that, I think I'll hand it back over to Kristen.
Actually, let's do a little.
Let's do Q&A.
Let's
Yeah.
do some Q&A first before we jump into the series going forward. Um, Vivek, as you anticipated, there is a question about MDEP, and we do have a couple customers asking what are our plans to move to MDEP. And I'll hand that over to you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Robert. Yeah, I know with the recent news, a lot of companies have been talking about MDEP. So from a Logitech perspective, I wanted to share that, we've been actively, working with Microsoft engineering teams on, integration of MDEP within the CollabOS platform. So this is something that we've been working closely with Microsoft for, months, if not a little more than a year. And at this stage, we are actively looking into what that MDEP integration on CollabOS will look like. So stay tuned to our upcoming sessions where we will share more information on this. So we will continue to look into MDEP integration. That said, I also want to take time to quickly highlight how we are still offering fully certified and supported products with Logitech and Microsoft certification. So that's pretty much what I can share about MDEP as of today. Um, and join in for our future sessions for more information on this.
Excellent. Another question that came in is around 8021.x. This customer says, is there a way to set up a device and save the 8021x information and deploy those settings to all new devices you are setting up? Yeah.
That's a really good question. We are definitely looking into it. That said, a lot of enterprises that do use 8021x, there are, let's say, approaches of zero trust based system implementation. And so we are leaning into first enabling those kind of deployment models. So whether it's creating profiles that can be remotely provisioned into devices, is something that we're leaning into or looking at first. At a later stage, and I'm not sure how what's the context of this question. As we get more comfortable with profile and let's say enterprise certificates being saved into profiles, I think we will look into enabling that as a next step after that.
Awesome. Thank you, Vivek. And another customer is asking this question. We get this one quite often. Is it possible to roll back from a beta CollabOS version to a non-beta version? And I'll let Dennis or you answer that, Vivek. Over to you guys.
Dennis, I'll let you take a stab this time.
That is not possible.
Yeah. So to Dennis' point, on the CollabOS devices, we do not allow downgrading or reverting back to firmware versions. Fundamental to that part of is basically our devices are secured from any kind of rollback and exposure to, like, say, dated security issues in the field. So we try to make sure that all our devices are adhering to the latest security standard, and one of them is allowing no rollback. So anti-rollback is one feature that these devices support. So if you're looking to actively deploy or test the beta firmware, my recommendation is to make sure you have some dedicated beta or lab equipment, so that way you're not looking to deploy this in the production environment till you get that confidence to deploy it in production.
All right.
I think that comes up to, even if you do have a device on beta code, when it does come GA, you can pull it out of the beta channel and go back to production channel. So, just because you've loaded beta on there doesn't mean you can't go back to GA. So I think the opposite of rollback is asked quite a bit from our customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and naturally, before anything goes to GA, it goes to beta. So you can have full confidence that, whichever version has gone through beta, it is, going to go into GA pretty soon, pending feedback. Want to say hi to folks? So wants to hi.
Like most, I think everybody's kids are home this week from school. It looks like Vivek's got his kiddo home from school.
Yep. The best part is at least he's not trying to negotiate
Huh.
chocolate or TV time yet.
Yeah, yeah. Now that you mention it. There is a question in there about a customer's trying to move away from MTROW computes, but they've recently encountered an issue with roommate HDMI ingest, not liking the signal out from a QSC decoder. It's a very specific question, and what I would recommend is if you don't have a support ticket open with us yet, please get one open. We want to be able to take a look at this and triage it and really understand what the configuration is that you have, and dig into it a little bit more, so we can answer that question a little bit better. There were a couple of questions that came in related to TAP IP, with other programming like TV tuners and things like that. And it sounds like they're looking for some additional controls that are maybe outside of the native platform. Dennis, Vivek, I'll hand that over to you guys to answer if you feel comfortable there, or otherwise I can help.
I'm going to pass this one to Vivek.
Yeah. So at this stage, I'll just put it as this is something that we're actively looking into. We are looking into, like, I'll generalize that ask as room controls through partner integrations like Qsys, Crestron, Extron, and all those kind of things. Stay tuned. I want to say definitely next year, but I'm from the product team, so I always take my timelines with an asterisk.
Yeah.
As we get closer, you will see that rolling out to beta, and you can start giving us feedback. But point noted, and feature is being worked on.
Yeah, that's exciting. I know it's come up a couple of times in our wish list items, and it looks like somebody was having the same sort of wish list item here. And the good news is that room controllers today here at Logitech, if the UC platform supports something, you can take advantage of it. I'd recommend going and checking the white papers from Zoom and Microsoft to see if they've got a feature or functionality that you can add into the native display for those systems. But it's good news to hear that we're trying to unpack this, Vivek, and look at it from a usability standpoint, and just make things a little bit easier. Let's see here.
How are we
And
doing on
then
time, Kristen?
we're doing
Good.
good.
Yeah, we're good. Thanks.
Okay, good.
And then that's pretty much, so let me just make sure we don't have anything else in here that I'm missing. There's a couple in here that are a little more complicated to answer live, and we'll reach out to you and try to get some additional information. But I think we're hitting most all of them here, guys. And I'll tell you what, why don't we go ahead and start to wrap up? You guys have any finishing statements? Anything that we might want to mention before we hand it over to Kristen?
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, sorry, go ahead, Dennis. You
let's
first.
say before I hand over to Vivek, like I said, use your SEs, reach out to us. We've got conduits into product management as well, but also this wish list out on the hub. It's a really good way to get information in. And I just want to wish everyone happy Thanksgiving. And thank you to Vivek and team for helping out with this.
Yeah, really appreciate it, Vivek.
So no, thank you for having me. Yeah, I think a quick call out is, I think these slides and the video would be available. So for folks in the call, as you are like, architecting your rooms, looking at refreshing it, some of these are a lot of the best practices that we've heard from all our customers. So we wanted to take the time to like share this out. So rewatch it, every other time you need any kind of reference. We understand it's not a one size fits all, so please do take that time to customize it to your needs as you architect these rooms. And another call out is like, as Dennis called out, we have the product hub location where you can get pretty much all the information that you're asking for. In case something is missing, feel free to reach out to the teams that you're working with. And also, if there's any other questions or asks, you can always use the feature list.
Yeah.
So thank you and happy Thanksgiving, folks.
Awesome. Thank you, Vivek. And we'll hand it over to Kristen to wrap us up and take us on the outro.
Yes, so thank you, Vivek. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I loved all the great questions. We are in January. We will have William Nance will go over Logitech products in his demo environment, which is, if you haven't seen his environment before, it is really awesome. So we're excited for that. But I did want to give everybody a heads up. We are moving to a webinar format starting in 2026. So keep an eye out for a new invite to the event. And we will, I'm going to remove a couple spotlights from people.
Yeah, sorry, I'm
That's okay.
job here.
Yeah. So, yes, we'll be moving to a new format. If you've attended our next stop, it will be the same as that. It'll be one-click register, super easy. Each session will have a new webinar, so you will not use the same Zoom you've been using in the past. We also, I kind of think of Talk Techie as we go over the current products, what we have in our portfolio. And next up, we're looking at what's coming in the future and what's new. So Divya was going to go ahead and drop a URL for next up into our chat. So you guys, there's an evergreen page. You can go sign up there and you'll always get the invites to next up there. Robert, did you have any other things you want to add about upcoming Talk Techie?
Just that I'm really excited about the next season of Talk Techie to me. We'll start up, we skip December and we'll pick it up again in the new year at the end of the month. It's still going to continue to be at the same bat time, same bat channel, last Tuesday of every month. And we generally kick off the new year with kind of a retrospective, a look back at all the things that we've done over the last year. I'm super excited about this retrospective happening on the 27th of January with Will. And we really hope to see you guys there again and keep an eye out for those for the new invite for the Talk Techie to me. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the new year.
Yep. And then the first one is sales engineer, but we will continue to have the product group join us on the different products and have their perspective as well. So we're excited about that.
Yep.
Dennis? Will you go next slide? Okay, here's our winner.
Oh, nice.
Intermountain Healthcare, Brian McEwen. Sometimes when you ask for something, you get it. I don't know. There you go. Congratulations. So with that, I think we'll start wrapping it up. Thank you. Thank you to Vivek and Dennis. Thank you for everybody that attended. Super happy to have you here. Have a wonderful, for those of you in the US, have a wonderful Thanksgiving and take care. Bye,
All right.
everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
See you, folks.
Everybody, thank you.